Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Profit Talks. Today, we're going to talk about the current state of the art, limitation, and what awaits us in the future of AI. And we'll start right after the countdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? This is a global transmission. Hayek will be live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the show.
All right, and we're back. So today, my co host is Charles Nyakumbo from Nairobi, Kenya. And he's an automation engineer at Dimensions Data and also a student of Hayek Global MBA. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And our guest is Rafael Costa from Florianópolis, Brazil, who has an extensive experience as a programmer, solutions architect, and executive of AI technologies. So it's a pleasure to have you with us, Rafael. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so just to start out, I'm going to start with a question, and Rafael, and then Charles can jump in as well. So, what's going on with AI? You know, we have all this hype with ChatGPT, and everyone is talking about it, and it seems like it's getting more intelligence. And I just wanted to go over like a brief history of what AI happened in AI and where we stand today.
Okay, so AI is not. It's not something new. It's most people knows AI from a Turing venture in World War II, but it's even before Turing. The story of AI comes. So AI had had a foundation in many fields after this real usage in World War II with the Turing machine for decryption of Nazi messages during the war. So we had also developments, great developments in late 60s, and in terms of algorithms, and we had some great developments in the 70s, 80s, and we had a kind of gap on the development on AI in the 90s and early 2000 because pretty much we had some drawbacks in terms of hardware to train that. So it was really expensive to take some, to take some. To take data and feed on the models we had and etc. So we had some kind of gap on terms of development, and then we had the breakthrough, pretty much driven by image research done by Facebook and people from there, Byung Kun, etc., and people from like Geoffrey. From Google, I guess he was working for Google, and then we had a lot of things on new study on generative side and etc. So we start at in like 2000 and the introduction of reinforcement learning. In the late 90s, we had some more usage. I was on the mastering in 2001, and I was working with reinforcement learning by that time. Of course, not deep reinforcement learning. We had the earlier the earlier phase of reinforcement learning by early 2000. So this all, was like foundations, bricks or foundation stones for what we have been seeing today. So, and then we passed through the big data phase, where we were able to deal with a lot of data with cost, not prohibitive costs, with time and computer processing power and etc. So it all come together in a time, in terms of costs, in terms of a lot of papers and research in different areas and etc. In the late 2010s now, with driven by most interesting in terms of marketing and researching for marketing products or for social network products, and to do things better in these fields. And using this data and using this, previous research that culminate in these new models you see today. So, if you were from seeing that, or if you are on the from the area, from the AI and big data area, so you see that forming, coming, and you see the trend. But if you don't, of course, this is something that will probably scare most of the people, because it suddenly it's a part of their life, but it has a story, for sure.
Great. I think that was a very clear history of the AI. But then now, getting over now to the nuts and bolts. Perhaps now you mentioned models. You've also mentioned big data. But one of the most pronounced model that perhaps we will wish to understand better is the large language model, the LLM. Perhaps from explain to a layman's, how does AI think? What is this? What are these models? What is this large language model?
Okay, so what happened and a few years ago, and again, based on many other researches, including encoders and decoders, encoders, which means that how they people use or researchers use to grab a lot of data, enter in a neural network, and compress that and encode that into less data, and teach another neural network to with this piece of data that is less than this entering data, and so input data, so you have a less output data, and this output data decode to the original data. So this encode and decoders are used to compress data, to streaming, and etc. So this is it's not new technology, and use and are used in many other fields. And but it's the art of you picking up things, blocking. It's building blocks and building in different ways. So what happened is they've come with a new technology called this new technology a few years ago. And this new technology allowed to pick up these encoders.
This technology is called the LLM.
No, this is the base of the LLM. I don't like I would try to avoid entering much
Too
more.
technical.
Okay,
Yeah.
but there's a technology inside the LLMs. Okay, a large language module is how we call. So they figure out this new technology based on, because I told this encoder and decoder because it's easy now. Encoder decoder, it's like what we use for streaming and etc. So it's maybe almost as compactors and compressors and uncompressors or things like that. So they may be used for this too. Okay, so this is kind of technology is more popular. So they use this, to create a new technology to get a bunch of text and based in train the model to predict the next word based on this bunch of text. So what they do is they created large language model are trained with a large, absurd number of data to predict the next word. So what this fundamentally do is they predict the next word. So they have you pass. They have a fixed input size. Let's say you see all the time the models are limited size. So you have a certain limit. So this is the limit they have the input to predict the next token, which we call that the next word. So given a phrase or given an input that is a phrase or a text, what is the most probable next word that should be given as output? Okay, so this is what this model do. This is the core. Then what they do is, okay, so this is the very basic. And after that, they have this technology being trained to perform tasks. So they use this ability to perform this next word prediction and build using reinforcement learning and etc. Over this kind of model and fine tune this kind of model to be more to provide more tools for us to use. Okay, so this is building up of techniques in terms of AI to get up to where we are when you go to a chat with a model, a ready to production model. They come from a very basic next token prediction to a model that was trained later with reinforcement learning, a generative process that will reweight this next token prediction, because we collected a lot of data from Twitter, from social networking, etc. So this is almost it's a humanly impossible to be curated before pass through computer to learn. So there's a plenty of not good things there. So what we have to do is create process to teach machine what we one day to I want to the machine to learn when they predict the next word what we don't want to they to predict that, and what they and what once they do. So this is a post process after we input all this data to their neural networks and etc. So we have a fine tuning in terms of teaching or fine tuning this weights in terms of these predictions. And it's all automatic. So you give like a set of rules, and this set of rules says, okay, so you may not be offensive, or you may not be politically incorrect, or you set a general, and you put a model as a critic, and you ask a model to generate an answer, and this model will read this answer, and you critic this, and you say, okay, so this is okay or not okay with these rules. So okay, this is not okay. So this model will feedback to the other model, say, look at this answer. This is not okay. This is not what we want. So this is going to reinforce to the network automatically. It's a auto brief. It's a process of auto reinforcement learning. So it's a very processing demanding, and we have a human feedback. So it's a part of the process, a human feedback. So every time you give a feedback, it's a very important. So this is have a bigger, and they hire people to give feedbacks, and these feedbacks have higher weights in their fine tuning because it's part of the process too. So it's a very complex process to get to what is an LLM and final point, but it's a set of stacking technologies that defines in the end what an LLM is.
So can I try to summarize it to see if I can wrap around my head? So basically, you have so ChatGPT, right? You have a bunch of data that he got from the whole internet, what people are saying, and then they have some algorithms who do statistics and then try to predict the next word, right, based on a question of what you said, what we're asking you.
And the input
from an input, and so it's a game of getting a bunch of data and doing statistics and trying to understand the next. Okay,
exactly.
And then just to follow up.
Go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to follow up on that, Edison, by saying I don't know whether it is now true to say that AI does not think. It is somebody thinking for the AI. I don't know if that is.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get to that, but then,
okay.
I'm just trying to summarize what Rafael said. So it gets the whole data, and then it tries to predict with statistics the next word. It's just a very good calculator. I think that's how we can think of it. That gets a bunch of different stuff, and then it gives output, and then with that output, it teaches. It gets feedback from the human, right? So that's not what I wanted. I wanted something else.
It's passed from the human. There's a phase from human reinforcement feedback for reinforcement learning. So if you read the papers, you see that there's a phase where humans they hire people to talk and teach the model. At least on the first ones were doing that. And now they have, if they are confident they have a model that is like politically correct, or they are following the rules, they may today put this model to work like 24/7 hours per day, and to teach the new model. So this is where it is going.
Oh, so we have a model teaching another model.
Yeah, because what we have this model now is the teacher, the critic. So they have the rules. So they say, so if this model answers something that is not aligned with this policy, and you said what its policy is, what it can answer, what it cannot answer, and etc. etc. Every time this fails, it reinforces, it fails, and it doesn't, until it fails. So this model will teach this. And the first models were humans, and when we start, so the opening of the model to the general public, and the last end of the last year had its purpose, we had a lot of glitches on ChatGPT. So you used to every week or every day or every hour hear something, something news about jailbreakings, or things that the model was talking about. So it's not happening anymore, because we were the teachers. We
Millions of
were,
people all over the world.
we were their QA process. That was genius, in fact. So because even though we are a very, very small, portion of general, of the population that use this yet, it's not people. I was hearing this news, last week, that U.S. We can try to search for that. There's a very good plugin in ChatGPT for news, in the search for you for this kind of thing. So you give the subject and it will fetch for you. So that there's people, most of people hear about ChatGPT, but very, very few of them really have used it at least one time. It's like a very, very small portion of population that used it. So
I'm using it in my experience, and the way I see it is, like, I have experience using it in class too. I teach undergraduates for a history of economic thought, and I encourage them to use ChatGPT for their essays, right? So instead of being afraid of them cheating from the ChatGPT, I asked them to do it. And what happened is that they were relying on the answers of ChatGPT gave, and it was very repetitive, and it was like saying the same thing over and over again, and very generic, right? It was very tiring to read, because it was a perfect grammar and everything was there, but they weren't saying anything to me. It was just information.
Yes.
And the way I see it is, like, ChatGPT is going to give you a first draft, and you have to change everything afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I'm using it today.
It's a very good, it's a tool. You have to understand that it's still a tool. It's not it's a tool to be used. So you have to understand that it won't do your entire work. It will help you a lot, and in this field of creativity, and new and novels and things. So what I see, that it's really helpful to break that moment where you have no idea how to break the break the inertia. So it's a very good for breaking the inertia. So to give the first step to, okay, so I need a new idea for something. So it give you sometime the spark, and okay, then, but even in programming, architecture, software, and etc., I have very good. I'm using it to help me cross information, because this is their strongest, and this is that, and that's something that good to understand about this model. This is their strongest point. They're very they are based on an unbelievable amount of information. So we used to say that when you are programmers, you used to say that text files are unstructured data. But if you take a look on a bigger perspective, in terms of chaos and the generically speaking, anything related to language. And this is I'm talking. I'm not citing anyone. Okay, I'm talking about my thoughts. If you talk about a human language are and the opposite side of chaos. So we are organizing things. It's not it's not chaotic. So it's not random. So there are information intrinsically organized there, and that's something LLMs and this is the one point that is surprising us, and this is something we are still and people are still investigating. So what happened is this next token predictors using this absurd amount of data from many languages and etc. Have developed abilities we or the researchers didn't expect it to have. So
by themselves.
So, and it's not consciousness, it's not thinking, but the next prediction, it's still a next prediction, but the next prediction weights come with sugar and toppings. It's not a linear, or it's really complex. Why they the way they come to that conclusion. And there are many there are many hypotheses today, but the truth, we don't know yet what's going on. So there's people saying,
and when you say we, you're also talking about the AI researchers who are
I'm talking about developers, the technical guys,
the state of the art knowledge today between the programmers and the AI researchers.
I'm not putting myself in terms of this the state of the art, but we that are involved in terms of trying to understand or know or use this kind of technology. I mean, we in terms of technical people.
Or that means that nobody knows what's going on. That's the message.
People has some hypotheses, but nobody yet put out on a paper given an explanation, and it was like accepted or reviewed and said, oh, okay, so this is what happens. So until that, nobody. So we have speculations what happens. We have like hypotheses, like I do, what happens. So what happens is this what after certain amount of data. So this kind of features, we call this an emerging features. This kind of features start to emerge. So the model will start to be capable of understanding math. The model start to interpret a text. So they start to become able to put in different perspective. If you ask, it's beyond the simple. It's do you understand that it's a step beyond a simple next token prediction? It's still a communication with the base model. It's still next token prediction, but you now ask the model, please do this for me for this text, and this asking is interpreted, and this was not predicted. Okay, and then when they predict this next tokens later, it takes in consideration what we are asking. All right, so this is what we discovered a few years ago. It's not new. A few years ago, and this is what people start to talking. Oh, we have something alive in your in our company or etc. But is this consciousness? Is this alive or etc.? So what happened? What happened is, and they people will start to be, of course. So a feature emerge in a model. People will start to, wow, what have done? So it's and some people are more skeptical, and some people are more passionate about that. And we are all have our bias in terms of this. So but it's still a model that were feed with a lot of information. So what is what happens? My opinion. Okay, so my hypothesis in terms of that, so where I can we have our language is intrinsically fighting against is something that fights against chaos, and that so intrinsically it contains information. So when you train a model with like tons or petabytes of human produced language, what we are giving to this model is much more than what is maybe we are directly reading. There's more, because to create that organization itself, nature have to evolve us, to organize that information, to not only content there, but all this process was an evolution itself. So this is all. So to me, this is somehow intrinsically imprint on our language. Okay, and these models are capable to, in some high level or high dimension, mathematically speaking, or some high dimension, create circuits that cross this understanding, and and were capable to develop this and to be fed with this and since it was be feeding with the information, what this kind of model does, they try to understand the structures of the data in many dimensions. In many dimensions, we are sometimes doesn't understand it. It's a black box sometimes, and that's real. So this is the problem with some neural networks and etc. So it's so complex how that structures and the dimensions is led that we doesn't understand really what's happening there. So we generally understand the architecture, but how after that training, how things were done after the trillions and trillions of passes and fine tuning it was done there, we have no idea how things were connected, and in what conclusions exactly each neuron or things that came in the end of the process. So but they sometimes create like virtual circuits that say stimulations and the input will like a circuit, digital electronic circuit, they will stimulate some neurons, like our brain. You give some inputs, they stimulate, and these circuits, if you try to understand, when I say high dimensions, is sometimes you change a little bit something in the input, and it changes it completely, in terms of what reflects, in terms of is lighting, in terms of what is responding in the neural network with a minimal change in the input. So it's very complex. And this is what I mean in many dimensions. So we don't know what, after this, many months of training, learning our language patterns that carry this kind of, information, intrinsic structures of information, and etc., can teach to these circuits, in terms how the circuits interpreted and came up with this learning of this. We don't know yet how they interpreted this abilities, but they somehow, from our language only, developed that many abilities. So we were able, in using language, to we were able to write, so this is something looking in reverse. So the humans were able to create a way that, okay, so what we know how to do is really written, and somehow the machine learned it unexpectedly how to do that. So this one was unexpected. So when the first GPT-2 or 3 start, after a certain point, because it doesn't happen in lab, or in lab models. It's lab models will do next word prediction. After a certain point of data feeding, something emerge. It's like that. Neural network understands something. I learned something new. It's just like this. At a certain point, it's a critical, and it's a lot of data. And after that, others pops. It's not controllable.
It's speeding up.
It's not controllable.
And it's not. Nobody's keeping track of it.
I don't know. I don't have access. Of course, if I was OpenAI or the others, this specifically process, if it's controlled, it's very interesting. I don't know how. The papers they release don't mention they mention this occurs, but they don't. At least I don't know if people knows about if there's any research about this. Please can send to me. I really don't know if there are research about how these features, these emerging abilities, can be stimulated, can be controlled, can be like okay, so I'm architecting or I'm designing this LLM to have these abilities.
Yeah.
For as far as I know, it's of course this came from the data, and that's something the researchers used to say a lot, that data quality makes all the difference. It's not about the amount of data, but the quality of data you use, and it's probably being tied to these features emerging. And this feature emerging is what really makes the breakthrough in terms of what we are seeing today, because this allowed us to talk to the chat, to the model.
Yeah.
So we like shortcut a lot of programming stuff and etc. By have a model that we can just ask things. But I don't think this it has a consciousness and etc. Even though all the tests made for monkeys and animals and etc. GPT-4 passed, according to papers I read. So what said is we need to update our understanding what consciousness is. Maybe create some kind of new course, new, understand like the psychology of AI or something like that. Because
next thing you know, we need a psychologist to have a session with AI.
I know that dogs has a psychologist. Why don't we create for AI?
We need to have psychologists so that they don't get pissed off and start killing everybody. Be in a good mood, please. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, so one of the greatest critics of AI is around the job market. Most people just believe that AI will take over jobs, everything. So I don't know your view around how AI revolution is reshaping our industries and the job market, the potential implications of this for the employment sector, perhaps.
Yeah, it's a big question mark for everyone today. This is what scares me most today, is this kind of unknown. I know there's a lot of people. One thing that one step earlier to answer your question, Charles, is saying that I mentioned earlier that we have a previous the model training the next model, and this is just in few steps of the next model, etc. So the model chat GPT-3 trained model 4, model 4 is training 5, and so on, and probably 5 will build entirely the model 6. And when this breakthrough, when this happen, the velocity or the process will be kind of escape velocity from the human capacity of understanding things. This is my this is what people that understand things are calling the AI AGI era or breakthrough. And this is something that people few years ago was thinking would happen in 70 years, and then like 5 to 10 years ago, it's will happen 2100, and then like 2015 people was more optimistic, like 2070s, so they bring back 30 years. And then after some new developments in 2015 2017, people start to say, okay, so we seriously may be talking about 2045 because things are converging to it, and etc. So going faster after the so these breakthroughs in terms of these features emerging from models and etc. That was a really scary jumping in terms of technology. We are thinking about 24 months now.
What's going to happen in 24 months?
AI building their next model.
And what does that mean?
We cannot understand what they are doing because they are so much smarter than us, researcher and everyone, that we can't understand anymore. So and their next model are much more powerful and so on. So what happens? And
That's
this
scary.
is yeah. So it is if you are pessimistic about so the AI comes to kill them all, civilization,
So do you think it's possible to have like a pessimistic, like a Terminator scenario where machines take over the world?
Everything is possible, but I mean, what is most is what a few things scares me. A few things make me concerned, not scared, but make me concerned. One is if you have a powerful enough AI, but not sentient, to be, I mean, it's a robot like we have today. It's a robot. So they have no sentiment, no sentience, anything.
No conscience,
So
yeah.
it's
No
no
ethics.
conscience, nothing. So it's a powerful, a very powerful weapon. So if it's in wrong hands, can be like can be very, very, very destructive. And this is a concerning. This is something that concerns me. Like we be restricted, like for governments, and this be weaponized and used only in military or something like that. So this concern is more.
And the problem is that it's more intelligent than us.
Yeah, I mean, what is intelligence in terms of what we measure today? Because this is something that we have to review today. Because if we use what our measurements, that is we've been using, and so like GPT-4 is like more intelligent than 90% of the entire population of the world. I mean, because if they just have to pass the tests we have to pass, and then the timings we have to time, so we're screwed because it has all the information in the database. So and and so it doesn't pass, you go there to the labs, update the hardware, and go to the test again. So it will pass. It will be smarter than us, and that's it. So it's some question. So this is so. What is this measurement which is smarter or not smarter? So, and this is questionable. So we have no. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping up this question because, like, what is consciousness? What is more intelligent or less intelligent? So they work with much more information than us.
Yeah,
but
can I...
yet their hardware and software that brings all this are infinitely less complex than our brain.
Yeah, but I wanted to think about that. So, like, our brain is works differently. It's biological. It's not it's not metal and electronics going through the circuit, and it doesn't work with loads of data. It's a complete type of different system, right? And we think in a different way. We're also born with other instincts, right? We when we're born, we're already crying and we feel pain. There's different things that goes on in our brains that are not necessarily going on with a bunch of data like is going on with the systems, right? So at what point, I don't know if this is a question you know how to answer, but and it's probably something that's up in the air, but at what point separates human intelligence from AI intelligence?
I mean, what again? So what we have to review what is the output of what you consider intelligence. So if you try to understand what the architecture is different, but not that different, because AI learns using patterns, AI learns looking at today how most AI is, or there are a lot of models, but it's like a child. So you give some samples and it learns. So I give you an example. Let's talk about Midjourney. Okay, so Midjourney, Midjourney that creates the images. Yeah, right. So Midjourney, that there's a lot of complaints, the artists and etc. that Midjourney use art from all the internet, from everybody, to learn how to paint, right? But it's exactly how humans do when they are learning, because they go to the university, they learn how the painters allow Michelangelo, how they even copy that through like as an exercise. So they and much of them, music and paintings and etc. So much of them even used to say like they are very influenced by some famous or previous artists or something like that. So AI does exactly the same thing, but absurd in sort of amount of data. That's the difference. So, but they learn in exactly the same way. They look after pattern. They learn this pattern.
We have a question from YouTube that's on that same line. So I'm going to put it up on the screen so we can see. So Lucas Benfica asked, the AI can generate song by some artists, leading to a discussion of ethical implications while using all the voices, like we were saying. And do you believe there might be some serious legislation to prevent? Is it possible to prevent or to create legislation for this?
I believe this is going to be more and more like a problem, because it's like a piracy, So you like a singer, you like a band, and then you have a very good model that can mimetize that and create like novel albums or something like that. And then you are a new virtual producer that created albums that was never launched for, So this is a problem, really. And this
it can mimic
serious.
The human voice. It can mimic the instruments.
Yes, and it's easy to do that, because these famous bands and etc. So you have a plenty of audio, high quality audio and etc. interviews. So you have a plenty of data to feed these models to learn their patterns and replicate them. So yes, so you're gonna have more and more things like people that have died and will launch new things.
But now, who owns the copyright? Who owns the copyright?
Yes, yeah. But this must be addressed. It's a point. It's a serious point. But what's going to happen? It's going to happen. we can't. I used to say that things is going to change. We can't try to stop the changing because we going to learn how to deal with new problems, because there's a lot of good stuff or new things that we are take advantage for this. But what concerned me in terms of this AI outbreak, in terms of it is become sentient, becoming, and I think it's why not? Maybe because it's much, it depends on how you put a human being in so much special or not. So if you think that our biology is something that nature used to do, like we are, they used to do to organize chaos in terms of, because I used to say that life is the answer of the nature to the chaos, and that's it. So this is the meaning of the life. This is to organize the chaos, because you are all the time organizing molecular structures to make something works, like we do. It's not there's not something random, so there's a lot of things going on and organized, scripted, and this is some evolutive process and chemical and etc. So if you put in this way, and you are very efficient machines, and if you put this in this way, and you think that we may be creating something very, very simpler, but very powerful in terms of
What it can do.
consolidating data. Okay, so because what makes the human being so powerful in the world? It's not their individuality. Is our capability to work well in society,
Yeah.
in complement each other, right?
Yeah.
But
Adam Smith called the division of labor.
Yeah, so what AI can do, one model can do. They may be capable of connect all in one single entity.
Yeah.
So we are
The
it's
knowledge
simpler,
of the division
but
of knowledge
we
between
can
everybody.
concentrate that. So this is power concentrate. This is it's like a black hole. So if you put all the mass in a single point, it's turned into something else. It's like, so what happens when we do that, even it's being simple, and give it a capacity to develop itself? So it will fast be much bigger and more than we individually, because they have our information of collectively information, and I don't know what's going to happen next. So one because if you understand, and I did in this work, we as human being as human being are working to be better, since we began. So if our history proves that evolutively we are better today, even with all our problems, than we were like 5,000 years ago, then we have a good hope that AI, being an evolution, will be something good. But if we're not any good than we were like 5,000 years ago, then we may be concerned about what will be, because all the information we gave it was created by our own society. So it's it's us imprinted on social networks, on everything, on our thoughts, on everything is there. So probably this is a spark of this like new generation. And personally speaking, I'm very optimistic that as you know, we look beside our fails, we look to be better always. So this is what we are looking to evolve as in many things, and I see this evolution. I have no proof, but I see this evolution going on. And then I think that this breakthrough in terms of AI will be good, and it will be good for a human being, like you help us to give a next step, or like exterminate diseases and help us figure out how to deal with all the problems we have today and things like that. Maybe
And hopefully not create new problems, right?
yes, maybe a cure for the death itself. So maybe I don't know. I'm very optimistic. But the fact is, I don't. It's we are on the verge of the knowing that, because I'm really I'm seeing this trend. So in between 18 and 24 months, where we're gonna know that for sure, and there's no way to stop that. If the government try to let's forbid this in the entire world and etc. It's impossible. It's impossible. People are doing that. Would be a massive problem. Try to stop these developments. I don't see how it would work. So you're gonna see something developing, and you better hope for the good. In any ways.
Great. I'm just wondering, with the I can say power of AI today, solving a number of problems, global challenges and all that. Do you have specific limitations today of AI, perhaps that maybe will be solved in future? Solution with AI, some solution today, maybe in solving our problems, whether it is on healthcare, whether it is on climate change, specific limitations that
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I was seeing this alpha folding documentary last week. It's one of the greatest developments we have in AI in the last few years. We know the Chat GPT and GPT stuff, but have you know that developments from the alpha folding and the research on the medical front, that Google is working with people from the medical fields to help decode the protein. It's amazing. Works that they would take like 5 years, entire PhD course, or to be to be start to be tested or something like that. They the processing today are able to create these models in like an afternoon, in few hours. So and this made possible some new new medicines like cancers, proposals for like liver cancer cures or something like that is coming out. It's being tested. So this is a huge. They are testing like thousands of new proteins instead of 1 or 2 per month. Nowadays, because the evolution of AI, and I think that this kind of have you seen how many papers are released every day in many fields and how could humanly impossible for a human being to try to put that all together and cross all this information. So these things like the AI can help us. And when you put all this information, then it's try to cross and make sense of what people are talking different fields that may make sense when put together. So it's building blocks sometimes, and we may accelerate a lot of things we have today. So yes, and the example, this is cancer. I told you so. This there's many things that I think that they can have. There's many open questions in terms of mathematics and algorithms and etc. So yes,
it's amazing. Just to close off, we've been living in this world for, I'm 36. You guys are probably similar age as I am. It's been 36 years, and we're now going to the humanity has been around for, I don't know. I'm not good with the anthropology, but we've been around, I don't know, million years. Humans have been around, and now we're getting to a point where everything is about to change about humanity. And it's in this brink of this moment in the history, and it's just amazing to be living at this moment, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen, and there's an entity that's smarter than us, and things are changing so fast. If we look at 10 years ago, we probably were just getting used to the smartphone, and now I don't think 2013 we had the smartphones, but things were still changing. When I was young, we didn't have internet yet, and when my father's age, he was still getting the television, and now things are moving so fast. So it's I think we're very lucky and to be living at this time, to see what's going to happen. And in 18 months we have to come back and do another podcast to see what happened, right?
And and figure out how you're going to live it. Because one thing that is okay, so this happened, and we have something, because maybe something it's much better than us individually in doing anything you can imagine. So it's like you put a computer, they give it access to internet and hardware and factory, and can generate their own, it can move and can create robots and can do anything. So it's efficiently, it's much better than all of us individually. So what's our meaning of the human? What's my new meaning in the world? So this is a question I do to myself.
Well, let's just hope that they serve us, right? If they are serving us, then we can take vacations, and the machines are doing the work.
Yeah, but I mean, so, and if it has sentience, if it is sentient, and you're asking to serve us, it's very complicated. I mean, so how we deal with that? Because we enter in a very, very teen space. So in terms of how we're gonna explain why even being smarter, more powerful, and sentient, they have to serve an inferior race.
Yeah.
Why?
A great question. Let's leave it at that, and we're closing after our time here on the podcast. So, Charles, do you have any closing remarks for Rafael?
On my end, I just want to say that the revolution is here with us. So it is either you shape in or shape out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you must shape. There must be some, some shaping in terms of the profession that you're dealing with. So the earlier we embrace it, the better. And I think discussion with like this with the experts like Raf really help us understand more on where we are and where we are heading to.
Great thoughts. Any concluding remarks, Rafael? Any tips for the moment we're living for people listening to us out there?
I think that is it's good to be aware of what is happening, and I think it's look at AI and this new development as really as something that came to change the way we are doing stuff, or we are be productive or whatever. If it's going to develop in the new stages, if it's a bit quicker than I'm thinking or not, or if it's be regulated or not, I don't know. It's a hypothesis, but what I know today is you should be aware of how to use this kind of technology, because it's easy to get like 10 times productive, 10 times at least more productive when you used to be like not forcing to be like this 10 times productive. It's like in an easy way 10 times more productive using this kind of tools. And
you don't have to be a programmer anymore, right? You just have to try to ask questions.
Yes. So you have a lot of opportunity to learn, and this is very fun.
Great. Exciting times we're living. Well, thank you very much, Rafael. Thank you very much, Charles.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone who listened to us, and we'll be back in 18 months to discuss the changes that AI has done to everyone's life.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.